live stream. My name's Jen. I'm the student success coach here at Essential Education. Always thrilled to welcome you in whatever format you're joining us on, whether that's in a student advisory role and we get to chat on the phone a little bit, or maybe you've joined us in a live coaching session that we offer topically throughout each month. Or maybe you've joined us over on Facebook, or you're just now checking us out here on YouTube. Seems like we're everywhere these days because your success as a student striving to obtain your GED, HiSET, or task on that road to getting your high school education and your high school equivalency credential is our top priority. Your success is our goal. And we love to come to you to talk about all different types of topics related to study and job ready and success in general. And today's topic is one that I am particularly passionate about. And that is the benefit of self-evaluation, the benefit of knowing yourself, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing the things that make you tick, that make you work, that help you find success, and maybe the things that are your weaknesses that pull you back, that don't get you closer toward your dreams and your goals. It all starts with this inward look, and self-evaluation is a tool that not only helps in your study and in lifelong learning, but will help you in your job and career and will help you in life in general. I've got some notes. We're going to go over some things today. And as always, drop down into the comments. Let us know where you are joining us from. Let us know a little bit about yourself, maybe what your next goals are after you obtain your high school equivalency credential. And just say hello. We would love to meet you and connect with you today in any way that we can. So we're going to go over the benefits of self-evaluation, the what, why, and how of self-evaluation and reflection. And the what really is pretty simple, but a lot of people don't stop to think about what self-evaluation really is. And it's just looking at two main things: your actions, what you do, and here's the biggest one: your attitude, how you shape things in your mind, the perspective that you bring when you face an obstacle. Are you someone that lets that obstacle stop you dead in your tracks, or are you someone that can push back from that obstacle and see that as an opportunity? Both are human responses, right? We both have this fight or flight type instinct that kicks in during certain fears. And we have to know that about ourselves so that we can bob and weave with those things when they come. And self-evaluation is the first place to start. Often students will say, I'd really like to get to here, and I just feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I feel like I'm working really hard. I feel like I'm doing all the right things, but I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. And we often have to kind of take a 50,000-foot view together and look at what their life and their schedule looks like, what their habits look like for study and job preparation. Because in order to change that output, your end result, you have to change the input. But that input is shaped by what you're doing right now. In other words, you have to know where you are at this given point in time if you want to make a plan, a successful plan, to move forward. So that's what self-evaluation is. But why? Why is it so important that we develop what really is this healthy habit of self-evaluation? For one, as we already said, it helps us to highlight our strengths and weaknesses. We can't develop skills and fill gaps if we don't know what those skills or gap filling needs are. We can't address any of our weaknesses unless we know what they are. And we can't course correct. I often tell people, look, plan A didn't work out. What's stopping you from plan B or plan C even? That's the definition of perseverance. That's the definition of putting one foot in front of the other, even when it gets hard. And we have to realize who we are, what we bring to the table, and what areas we need to develop in order to make that strategy, in order to make that plan. And I get it. It's not fun. It is not fun taking that inward look at yourself. I think a couple of things happen as we age. I think sometimes we hopefully get to this point of maturity that just says, hey, look, I want to be as vulnerable as I can be. I want to take all the help I can get. So mentor me, mold me, and that involves vulnerability. That involves somebody taking a look and saying, hey, you're great at this, this, and this, but you could use some work on this, this, and this. And it's this hand that we don't like. We don't like to be open to see our mistakes. And as parents, sometimes we see our own misgivings, our own mistakes, our own weaknesses kind of copycatted in our kids, and we definitely don't like that either. So owning who you are, owning and saying, you know what? I know this about myself. I know that I'm not a morning person, or I know that I have a hard time following through once I have set a goal. Once you know that about yourself, you can put a plan in place to change that, to alter that, to hone that. And really where you should be keeping your focus, although it's very, very hard in our culture, is not on perfection, not on this idea of what so-and-so looks like on social media, or what you think your success should have been, or what you think your success should look like, the time frame you should be passing these tests and accomplishing these goals. Get your mind off of this idea of perfection. One, it's an illusion and it does not exist. That person you see on social media has some of the same troubles and struggles and obstacles that you do. They may just be better at hiding it, or they may want to, kind of bulk themselves up by putting this outward perception out there, but they may be struggling as well. We've got to get this idea of perfection out of our minds and focus on something else. Focus on our progress. The steps that you took today that you hadn't completed yesterday. If you started this journey a week ago, a month ago, maybe even 6 months ago, do yourself a favor. As a part of your self-reflection and self-evaluation, think about how far you've come. Think about the painstaking steps that you have taken, no matter how short or how long, to get to this point, and celebrate that. Find value in that. That's one of the fun parts of self-evaluation. Yeah, I may have some miles to go before I sleep, as the poet tells us, but look at how far I've come. I have come so far in this journey. And if I can come this far, I know I can make up the distance and fill in that gap between myself and the finish line. And then keep taking those steps and keep going until you reach your own personal version of success. We've got to flip that script. We've got to turn that idea of focus on perfection and look at focus on our progress. You have to know where you are in order to move forward in your dreams and goals. And self-evaluation is adulting at its finest. It's all the ilities. It's showing accountability, responsibility, and here's a big one, flexibility. And man, are these things that are valuable. And we're going to talk about the areas that they're valuable. Again, accountability, responsibility, and flexibility. Your ability to self-evaluate shows all of these things. In study, this is what it looks like. In study, self-evaluation provides feedback essential for effective learning and tracking your progress. If you are reaching and working toward that goal of passing your subject exams for the GED, HiSET, or TASK, taking those timed practice tests, looking for those resources to let you know when you're test ready, that's a great self-evaluation tool in your study and in your preparation. Again, not fun. Nobody likes to take 45 minutes out of their day to take a practice test, especially if you're like me and you've got some test anxiety. But if you are like me and you have some test anxiety, then those practice tests are actually one of your biggest antidotes to that, antidotes, that's what I'm trying to say. That is the biggest antidote to that fear, to that anxiety that bubbles up, because the more you practice those practice tests, the more you will become familiar with some of that testing language, and it takes that fear away, it lessens it a little bit. If you are a student with Essential Education, you know those study evaluation tools are built right there in your homeroom for each of your subjects. You have multiple opportunities to self-evaluate through your lessons and quizzes and trying it out as you go through your individual instruction. But then you have those very important, fully aligned, fully timed, real scenario practice tests that are built into each and every one of your subjects. If you're not a student with Essential Education, then we have some free resources for you. If you go to essentialed.com and click free test, you can take a short version of the GED or the HiSET. And if you scroll down to the bottom of that page, you can find some other subject matter resources where you can jump into some free study evaluation tools. So make sure you're checking that out, because self-evaluating, reflecting, seeing where you are in study is essential to your path forward in knocking down those subject tests and getting that credential in hand. In work and life, self-evaluation is pivotal to building healthy relationships with coworkers, supervisors, customers, and then in life with your family and your friends. There are lots of tools out there to help you take that inward look. There's tons of personality tests. Some of you are fans of those. Some of you, like my husband, will run away, run away like the plague because he hates to go through all the hypothetical questions. But I will tell you, there is some really good value in taking some of those in-depth personality tests. The DISC test, the Myers-Briggs test. One really popular one right now is the Enneagram test. Those will all give you some really key insights to yourself, to how you're wired, to what makes you tick, to what helps you be successful and what draws you back. Not so that you can say, that's just who I am. I guess I'm just not good at blah, blah, blah. No, it's so you can say, okay, well, that is a part of my personality. It's true, I don't like to admit it, but that is something that I can work on. Now that I know that that exists in me, then that's something I can work on to develop as a skill. And as we've talked about in other sessions or other times together, anything that is a skill can be taught and it can be learned. So jump into some of these tools. Indeed has a ton of tools specific to doing a strengths and weaknesses evaluation targeted to what you bring to the table in your job skills. So check out those resources on big job search engines like Indeed. They really are a great resource. We have an incredible resource called Dreamcatcher, which will walk you through essentially writing your life's mission statement, trying to figure out if you're somebody that says, you know what, I don't really know what I want to do next. I don't know what that next chapter holds for me. What am I good at? What does give me life? What does help me to feel like I have a purpose and feel fulfilled? Dreamcatcher will help you do that. Dreamcatcher will walk you through with a series of motivational and inspirational videos and help you put the feet to those steps and writing out a plan. So you can check that out on essentialed.com as well. Evaluating for work and life ultimately comes down to that practical step also of looking at your schedule, of being able to say, okay, if I do feel like I'm putting in the effort, if I do feel like I'm doing everything I need to be doing in study, but something's still not working, I really encourage you to take a deep dive into your calendar and into your schedule. Maybe you need to make some changes. Maybe you need to shake some things up. Maybe you think you study best at night, but you really study best in the morning. So you need to shift and move some things around in your calendar and around your schedule. And that starts with, you guessed it, self-evaluation and knowing how to set your priorities. We do a deep dive into this in our Creating a Perfect Study Plan, which again, hint, there is no perfect study plan. There's just the plan that works best for you, your life, and your schedule. We do a deep dive into this in our live coaching session entitled, again, How to Create a Perfect Study Plan. And you can find that resource on our live coaching page at essentialed.com, live coaching sessions, and click past coaching sessions. And we may be able to put a link for that down in the chat as well. It's a really great session talking about really figuring out what those priorities are in your life, doing that evaluation to see what you can move around, and what you might need to sacrifice. There are always sacrifices involved in doing anything that's worth doing. You are worth it. That's where we want to land today. You are worth taking the time to sit down and say, what do I know about myself that is helping me make strides toward my dreams and goals? And own that. Own the positives of that. If you've got something that's working for you, you've got a standout personality trait, then own that. Make that stronger. Make that your biggest selling point when you go in to talk to a future employer, when you go into a college or a career training program. Really bulk that up and build that, because that's how you were made. That's how you were shaped, because we all have different shapes. We all have different gifts and different talents. And I am so glad that we do, because it only enhances not only the human race, but it enhances the workplace, because we might look at a singular problem from all these different angles and come up with the very best solution. And that's what employers are looking for. They're looking for people that say, yes, this is what I bring to the table. And they're also looking for people that say, you know what? I also know this about myself. I know that these aren't my strong points, but I'm also working to improve those. What suggestions do you have? How can you mentor me in that? We have a great session where we talk about the importance of being authentic and honest when you go into a job interview. And there's always this fear that comes up with some of our students that they say, well, what if I look at myself and I don't have a particular skill? And then what if I go to that job interview and they ask that dreaded question, do you have this skill? And I don't have it. Just be honest. Just say, you know what? That is not something that comes naturally to me, but it's definitely something that I'm aware of. I've done that self-evaluation, and I'm ready to build that skill. These are the steps I've done. I've looked at this webinar. I've looked at this coaching session. I've read a little bit more about developing this in my life. Your future boss, your future supervisor will not see that as a negative. They will actually see that as a positive. They're going to say, hey, goodness, there was some accountability there. There was some responsibility and maturity there in this person that allowed them to do that self-evaluation, to say, hey, these are my strengths. I know they are, and I can have confidence about that. And these are some things that I'm still working on. It is a huge selling point to have that level of authenticity and that level of vulnerability. And you have to be able to look inside yourself and do that strengths and weaknesses inventory, to ask the hard questions, to put yourself through the paces, maybe even to ask friends and family, hey, you know, what do you see are my strengths and what do you see are my weaknesses? It's a different kind of vulnerability, but it's okay. You will survive. And you'll gain the tools and you'll gain that education that you need to say, you know what? I do need to work on this area. I do need to work on this aspect of my personality or my skills, whatever it might be. And when I do, man, I'm one step farther to becoming that full package. When we say your success is our goal, we aren't just talking about study. We aren't just talking about getting you ready for these exams. We're talking about at least giving you thinking points, at least giving you little ideas to pop into your head that will cultivate your full success, that will help you in every step of your journey, both in study, in work, and in life. So get set. Go to it. Go do the self-evaluation. Go do the hard work. You can do these hard things. And remember, any investment that you make in yourself, of time, of finances, of effort, it's always something that's going to pay off because you are worth it. We know you can do this, whatever this is, whatever your next step is. We know that you can pass math. We know that you can pass science. We know that you can get your high school equivalency credential. We know that you can get that great new job. We know that you can keep that great new job. And we know that you can help and mentor others along the way. We know because we've helped thousands of students just like you do it before. So reach out if you need anything. You can always call a student advisor at 1-800-460-8150. Check us out online at essentialed.com/students. or continue to connect with us on social on both Facebook, Instagram, and right here on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining us today. We hope this information's been helpful. Have a great one.